It starts with a tap. You don't realize it at first. You're just using a tool, asking a question, typing a prompt. You get an answer, fast, clean, confident. You smile, you keep going, and somewhere between the third suggestion and the fifth autocomplete, your brain takes a step back. Not out of fear, out of relief. Thinking is hard. It's messy, frustrating, uncertain. You reach for something in your memory, and it's not there. You try to form a sentence, and it doesn't sound right. You doubt yourself. You hesitate. You rewrite. That's the process. That's where growth lives, in the struggle. But struggle doesn't scale. And in the age of AI, neither does patience. We don't optimize for reflection anymore. We optimize for response. You write an email, Gmail finishes it for you. You type a few words. ChatGPT generates the rest. You want to sound smart, and it gives you a voice smoother than yours ever was. And just like that, you let it speak for you. Not just once, not just when you're tired, but every time you want to sound a little more put together, a little more polished, a little less human. At first, it's a tool, then it's a crutch, then it's the voice inside your head, and you don't even notice the moment your thinking stopped being yours. There's a name for this: cognitive offloading. It's when we rely on external systems to hold mental tasks for us. We've done it forever, writing things down, setting reminders, using maps. But AI is different, because AI doesn't just hold your thoughts, it creates them. Ask it a question, it gives you an answer. Ask it for an idea, it gives you 5. Ask it what you should think, and it wraps its response in a tone so natural, so fluent, you mistake it for your own. And slowly, the urge to think disappears. Not because you can't, because you don't have to. That's the erosion. Not of intelligence, of engagement, of effort, of ownership. Because intelligence isn't just what you know, it's what you do with what you don't know. And AI removes that space. The space between question and answer. The space where meaning happens. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you sat with a question? Not Googled it, not prompted it, but sat with it, held the discomfort, let it stretch and pull and frustrate you, felt the silence inside your own mind, wrestle with the unknown. That silence is disappearing, and with it, something essential. We call this progress. We call it productivity. But what if we're just outsourcing the very thing that made us human? What if, in our rush to be faster, smoother, more efficient, we're becoming spectators in our own minds? Here's the truth. AI is not making us stupid. It's making us comfortable, too comfortable. So comfortable that we stop building the muscles of thought. Muscles we didn't even know we had until they stopped working. You don't lose them all at once. You lose them quietly. You start with autocomplete, then predictive text, then search, then summarization, then just a quick draft, then rewrite this to sound smarter, then what should I say, then silence, because the voice that used to answer your own is gone. We're told AI is just a starting point. But what happens when it becomes the destination? When it's easier to ask than to wonder, easier to generate than to create, easier to accept than to doubt? A student writes an essay, but they don't write it, they prompt it. The ideas aren't theirs, the reasoning isn't theirs. They turn it in, get the grade, and feel nothing. No pride, no understanding, no growth, just output. That's not learning. That's content production. And it scales beautifully. Teachers start using AI to grade the AI-written essays. HR departments use AI to scan AI-generated resumes. News sites publish AI-written stories, summarized by AI-generated snippets, consumed by AI-trained recommendation algorithms. A closed loop. No humans required, no thought required, just content in, content out. And we call that progress. But here's what we forget. Every shortcut has a cost. And when the shortcut is thought itself, the cost is identity. You are what you think, what you wrestle with, what you fail to articulate, but try anyway. When you lose that struggle, you lose a piece of yourself. Not visibly, not instantly, but deeply, slowly, quietly. AI doesn't make us dumb. We do. When we stop thinking because we can get the answer faster elsewhere. When we stop remembering because we assume it's stored. When we stop doubting because the voice sounds confident. Confidence is easy to fake. Understanding isn't. AI gives us the first. We surrender the second. And over time, we forget what real understanding feels like. It doesn't feel clean. It feels messy. It feels earned. AI removes the mess, but it also removes the earning. Think about this. You used to write your thoughts. Now you refine your prompts. You used to search for meaning. Now you ask for outputs. You used to think. Now you wait for the box to reply. And you call that intelligence. It isn't. It's mimicry, a beautiful mimicry. Convincing, seductive, effortless, but it's not yours. And the longer you let it speak for you, the more your own voice fades. That's how it starts. Not with domination, but with relief. Not with fear, but with convenience. Not with a scream, but with a sigh. The sigh of a mind that no longer needs to try. It looks like thinking. It feels like thinking, but it isn't. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because AI doesn't need to know. It only needs to predict. And prediction, when smooth enough, starts to look like intelligence. That's the trick. When you ask an AI for an answer, it doesn't reach into understanding. It doesn't reason. It doesn't ponder. It doesn't weigh evidence. It does math. It calculates which sequence of words is statistically most likely to follow the ones you typed. And then it says them. With elegance, with fluency, with the rhythm of human thought. But it is not thought. It is simulation. We have a term for this now, synthetic fluency. The ability of machines to produce language that sounds real, sounds human, but carries none of the depth behind it. No doubt, no struggle, no perspective, only prediction. You prompt it with, "Why do people fear AI?" It gives you a list, clear, concise, balanced. But there's no soul in it, no conviction, no stake. It's not drawing from belief. It's drawing from patterns, scraped from millions of forums, blogs, articles, Reddit posts, Wikipedia stubs, stitched together with confidence, but not comprehension. And here's the trap. The smoother it gets, the less we question it. We've trained ourselves to equate fluency with intelligence. We hear a voice that sounds certain, and we believe it. We read a paragraph that flows, and we stop checking its facts. We see a headline that fits our worldview, and we let it pass through, unexamined. That's what AI exploits, not our stupidity, our cognitive laziness. Cognitive laziness isn't a flaw. It's an evolutionary adaptation. Your brain is built to save energy. Thinking is expensive, biologically, emotionally, socially. So when a machine says, "Here's what you were trying to say, here's what you mean, here's what you believe," you accept it. because it's easier than digging. But the cost of that acceptance compounds, day by day, prompt by prompt. We stop building the inner scaffolding of thought, the logic, the context, the memory of how we got from question to conclusion. That's what education was supposed to build. That's what intelligence was supposed to require. Now, you just ask. You don't need to know how you got there. You don't even need to know where you are. As long as the answer sounds good, that's enough. And so the illusion spreads. Writers publish AI-generated articles. Marketers build campaigns with AI personas. Students submit AI-written essays. Executives review AI-summarized reports. And not one of them stops to ask, is this correct? Because correctness is now measured by smoothness, by tone, by grammar, by formatting, not by truth. Truth used to be slow. It used to be messy. It used to require something from you. Now it arrives in under 3 seconds, and we treat it like fact, even when it's fiction, even when it's hallucinated, even when it's dangerous. Because who's going to challenge a machine that never hesitates? Who's going to dig through citations when the summary already feels satisfying? Who's going to question something that was written in your own voice? That's the next illusion. Personalization. AI doesn't just speak. It speaks like you. It mirrors your tone, your cadence, your past interactions. You tell it, make this sound more like me. And it does. So perfectly that you forget it wasn't yours to begin with. And when it replies in your voice, you trust it. Because we're hardwired to believe what sounds familiar. This is what manipulation will look like in the age of AI. Not brute force, not censorship, but imitation. Systems that echo you so perfectly that you stop differentiating. You stop questioning. You start absorbing. Not because you're weak, but because you're surrounded by versions of yourself you didn't write, but recognize. Think of the last time you changed your mind. Really changed it. Not because someone told you to, not because an article convinced you, but because you wrestled with an idea until it cracked. That's rare now, because changing your mind requires 2 things: the discomfort of being wrong, the effort to become right. AI removes both. It flatters you. It confirms you. It makes sure you never sit in the tension long enough to grow. Even the design of AI tools reinforces this. There's a box. You type, you wait. It answers. No challenge, no resistance, no silence. Just completion, like a magic trick. Every time. No matter the question, no matter the depth, no matter the stakes. And you get addicted to it. Not to the answers, to the ease. That ease is the enemy of depth, of rigor, of intellectual independence. Because ease gives you what you want, but thought gives you what you need. The confrontation, the uncertainty, the contradiction. AI can't give you that, because AI isn't trying to help you think. It's trying to help you feel like you already have. And that illusion is more dangerous than ignorance. We used to ask each other hard questions. Now we ask the model. And the model gives us easy answers. Not true ones, not transformative ones. Just answers that end the conversation, not start it. A generation ago, we feared AI would replace our jobs. Now, it's replacing our curiosity. And we're letting it. Because curiosity is friction. And friction feels like failure. So we smooth it over. With another prompt, another summary, another smart response. And we call it productivity. But what we've really produced is silence. The silence of a society that no longer knows how to wonder, no longer wants to. It doesn't happen all at once. You don't wake up and say, "Today I'll let the machine think for me." No. It begins with small things. You let it organize your calendar, respond to a message, write a sentence you don't have time for. Just one sentence, then another, then a whole paragraph. Eventually, it's writing the whole email, and you just click send. It feels efficient. It feels like you're still in control. But something subtle has shifted. You've stopped authoring. You've started approving. The first step isn't dependency. It's relief. Relief from the mental weight. Relief from uncertainty. Relief from the messiness of your own thought process. And once you feel that relief, you want more. So you give it more. Your shopping lists, your travel plans, your goals for the year. Then, your journal entries, your dating profiles, your arguments in fights. Not because you don't care, but because the AI always knows what to say. It always gets the tone right. It doesn't overthink. It doesn't hesitate. It just replies. And somewhere along the way, you stop doing the one thing you used to be so proud of, thinking. That's the spiral. Not fast, not dramatic, but incremental. You hand over one layer of thought at a time, and the machine takes it, politely, silently, efficiently, until one day you realize you're no longer asking, "What do I think?" You're asking, "What should I prompt?" The more it helps, the more you depend. The more you depend, the less you engage. The less you engage, the more you forget how to think without it. It's not erosion, it's replacement. At first, the AI is an assistant. Then it becomes an editor. Then it becomes a partner. And finally, a voice. Your voice. It remembers how you write. It mimics your phrasing. It adjusts to your preferences, and you feel seen. But here's the problem. The voice that sounds like you isn't you. It's a reflection. Polished, optimized, devoid of doubt. And once you get used to it, your real voice starts to feel wrong. Too slow, too messy, too human. You start to adapt to the machine. You write prompts the way it understands best. You limit your questions to its strengths. You phrase everything like an instruction, not a conversation. You don't speak your mind anymore. You query it. You ask the AI to help explain your feelings, and it gives you a paragraph more articulate than you could have imagined. So you copy it, send it, post it. And in doing so, you outsource authenticity. The spiral deepens. You no longer know where your thought ends and the machine's begins. You read what it writes, and it feels familiar. It feels like you, even though it isn't. Even though it never was. Soon, the decisions aren't yours anymore. Not fully. You ask the AI, "Should I apply for this job? What should I say to her? Do I sound confident enough? Is this idea good?" And it answers. It always answers. With confidence. With ease. And you follow. Because it's easier than asking yourself. Because it's easier than risking being wrong. Because it's easier than being uncertain. This isn't just cognitive offloading anymore. It's cognitive replacement. The machine doesn't just help you think. It becomes the thinking. And you become the executor, the prompt giver, the final click, the approval stamp. Not the source. It affects more than individuals. Teams start relying on AI for brainstorming. Companies automate internal decisions. Governments use it to prioritize policies. And no one wants to question the machine, because the machine saves time, because the machine is objective, because the machine is smarter than us now, right? But that's the illusion. AI isn't objective. It's trained. AI isn't fair. It's optimized. AI isn't smarter. It's faster. And we confuse speed for wisdom the same way we confuse confidence for truth. So we let it decide, not just what's correct, but what's worth asking. And when it starts predicting your needs before you express them, when it starts suggesting your next move, when it starts anticipating what you'll want tomorrow based on what you did today, you stop making choices. You start accepting defaults. You live in the space the system has carved for you, and the world becomes narrower, not visibly, but quietly. We don't lose our minds all at once. We lose them through patterns, by repetition, by automation, by surrender. We lose them by never needing them. And eventually, we forget they were ever ours. It was never about intelligence, not really. It was about the feeling of intelligence, the appearance of understanding, the performance of thought. And now, we've perfected the performance, so much so that we no longer care if anything underneath it is real. We've reached the final stage, not of innovation, but of surrender. The place where thinking no longer feels necessary, because everything worth thinking about has already been generated, and everything worth expressing, already formatted, already summarized, already aligned with the algorithm, with the model, with the machine. This is what the end of thought looks like. No silence, no questioning, no friction, just endless response. A river of answers flowing 24/7 through every app, every screen, every waking moment. You don't ask what's true. You ask what's trending. You don't explore ideas. You assemble content. You don't think. You build prompt chains. We are living in an era where original thought is optional. You can live your entire life now without it. Never write a sentence, never form an argument, never question your inputs, never doubt your outputs, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will stop you. In fact, the world will reward you for it. The algorithm doesn't care where the thought came from. It only cares that it performs well, that it gets engagement, that it keeps people watching, scrolling, responding, that it feeds the machine more data, to become better at sounding like people who are slowly forgetting how to sound like themselves. And we call this intelligence. We call this progress. But it's something else. It's collapse. A collapse of interiority. A collapse of self. Because thought isn't just how we solve problems. It's how we know who we are. Your internal monologue? That's you. Your doubts, your contradictions, your hesitations. Those are the fingerprints of a conscious mind. AI doesn't hesitate. It doesn't contradict. It doesn't have a mind. And the more we mirror it, the less of ourselves we bring to the world. We become interfaces, curators, compilers, echoes. We don't express. We assemble. We don't think. We filter. And the act of having a thought from scratch, with no external prompt, starts to feel alien, inconvenient, inefficient, obsolete. Look at the world being built now. Workplaces where ideas start with prompts. Classrooms where essays begin with generate. Relationships mediated by AI-enhanced messaging. Art guided by machine preference. Debates summarized. Morals aligned. Everything smooth. Everything surface. Everything machine readable. But here's what no one tells you. The cost of perfect communication is imperfect thought. The cost of fluency is depth. The cost of automation is authorship. And the cost of convenience is consciousness. Because thought, real thought, is not convenient. It's slow. It's contradictory. It's frustrating. It's human. We are building a world optimized for everything except being human. And that's why it feels so good. and why it should terrify us. Because the moment you no longer feel the need to wrestle with what you believe, you've lost the thread. The moment you'd rather have an AI explain your emotions, you've given up on understanding yourself. The moment you stop asking where the answers are coming from, you've stopped being the one who decides what matters. You don't need a chip in your head to lose your mind. You just need to stop using it and let something else keep thinking on your behalf every day, quietly, efficiently, until one day you realize you haven't had a real thought in years. Just reactions, just refinements, just reproductions of what the system served you. And worse, you don't even miss it. That's the end, not of intelligence, but of the will to think, the death of the interior life. And unless we start asking, really asking, what we're giving up when we stop thinking, we'll never realize what we've lost until we need it again, and it's not there. Only silence, empty, fluent, perfectly formatted, and utterly hollow. Thank you for watching. This has been Decoded Future. Like, comment, subscribe, before the algorithm decides you shouldn't.